old are you? How much do you have in savings?
29, and in my bank account right now saving 2,000.
I'm 23 and I have about 15,000 in savings.
I'm 25 and I have $200 in savings.
I'm 27 and I think I have about 6 or 7.
Oh, I'm 20. I think I have 13 grand.
I'm 20 and I have over 20.
I'm 23 and I have 30k in savings.
Okay, it's not great, but a lot of these women are very young, you know. How about we ask some older women?
How old are you and how much do you have in savings?
43 and a couple of grand.
No, I'm 48 and not much.
I'm 42 and I probably only have about 3 grand in savings.
Where are the savings? Why aren't they more financially competent? You might be thinking, okay, yeah, people are hopeless with savings, but this isn't gendered. I'm sure men are doing just as badly, right? Let's find out.
How old are you and how much do you have in savings?
I'm 28 and I have $40,000 in savings.
23, I've got about 60 grand in savings.
I'm 24 and I have maybe 23 grand or so.
I'm 26.
Okay.
I don't want to brag.
Tell us.
Well, I've got more than 100,000 in savings.
I'm 22 and I have like about 10k in savings.
29 and in savings 30,000 euro.
Now you might be thinking, Alexander, I don't understand the point that you're trying to make by showing us these clips. You're saying women are irresponsible with money? They don't know how to save and invest compared to men? Because this is all just anecdotal. This is just street interviews. You know, I want to see some actual data. Well, I'm so glad you asked. Reading from an article called What Holds Women Back from Saving and What They Can Do About It. In 2022, women on average saved just $3,146 annually compared to $7,007 saved by men. And unfortunately, women on average have saved about 30% less money by the time they retire compared to men. Now, you might think that this trend is going to be disrupted by the newer generations of women. Like Gen Z, they've grown up with the modern feminist, like girl boss narrative. They want to be strong and independent. They want to be financially autonomous, right? Like Gen Z might finally break this pattern. No, even with young women across the board, they're showing themselves to be less responsible financially than men. Take a look at these statistics. I'm going to tell you the ones that I find significant. Has no personal savings, 4% of men, 11% of women. Owns shares, 22% of men, only 12% of women. In financial knowledge, they only want to know what they need to get by, 38% of men and 47% of women. Don't know much about finances, 27% of men, 37% of women. And often researches ways to grow wealth, 21% of men and 14% of women. Even in the young generation, this gender discrepancy continues to show up. I know we've all been told that there's no differences between men and women, but we have been lied to. You can see it in the data. But it's a shame that we even need statistics to prove something that everybody intuitively already knows, which is that men and women spend money differently. They approach finances differently because they live life differently. Men's brains are built for understanding and building systems. Men are logical and analytical. Women's brains are built more for empathy. Therefore, they're more likely to be emotional in their decision making. Reading from this article from Stanford Magazine, women, it's known, retain stronger, more vivid memories of emotional events than men do. They recall emotional memories more quickly, and the ones they recall are richer and more intense. Don't forget, the primary way that women experience the world is through their emotions. They might not remember the facts, the figures, the exact time, date, and location, but they will remember how they felt. That's how their brain works. But given that, can you see how this is obviously going to have implications for how they spend their money? When it comes to purchasing and saving, they're going to make emotional decisions. They're going to be tempted to buy things right now in this moment to try and bring back some positive emotions. I remember when that boy looked at me and I felt so desirable. I want that feeling again, so of course I'm going to buy this expensive makeup kit. I'm stressed from work and I want to feel relaxed. Of course it makes sense to book that expensive international holiday. I'm not saying that this is a positive thing, but because men are more inclined to just ignore their emotions, it's easier for them to think long-term when it comes to financial planning, to make decisions more logically, whereas women's financial decisions can be based a lot more in the short term. And of course, in the modern age, companies provide us with a never-ending supply of impulse purchases. products that promise to make you feel good about yourself. And it should be no surprise that those kind of items, those products, are marketed to women at a much greater degree than they are to men. Reading from the study Gender Effects in Advertising, less than 15% of ads are directed specifically to women and less than 5% are intended just for men. The remaining 80% are apparently targeted to everyone. I found that to be a very interesting statistic. It's saying that if an ad is going to specifically target one gender, it is 3 times more likely to be trying to target women. Why? Because it's a lot more likely to work. Women make purchases emotionally, and advertising works on our emotions. Buy this, buy that, and then you'll feel this emotion. You'll be this kind of person. You can enhance your identity in this way. Then you can feel good about yourself. Look at this graph. It doesn't matter what style of advertising it is. Demonstration, humor, comparison. Across the board, you can see that it is more effective on women than it is on men. Women live through their emotions, and advertising targets emotions. When I'm advertising one of my services, like my one-on-one consultations or the men's groups that I run, the hero circles, I advertise knowing that I'm speaking to a male audience. I logically explain the benefits of being part of a hero circle, the positive effect on your future, why you should prioritize your psychological health. I provide lots of details explaining how the group system works, what's on offer, because I know that that's what men want. If I was advertising this to women, I'd probably just have some harp music and video shots of like waves crashing on the beach. And in a breathy voiceover, I'd be making vague statements like, do you ever wish that people understood you more? Do you know that there's more to you than what other people see? Are you ready to come home? It's so much easier, frankly, to sell things to women. You just need to create a feeling and then boom, you've got a customer. Because that's how women spend their money, emotionally. I really want to illustrate this, so I'm going to try and sell you guys something, but I'm going to speak to you as men. Hey guys, as you know, I've designated this September as Weight Loss Month. It's a celebration of the fact that I managed to lose 10 kilograms. I have a long, detailed video on my Patreon explaining how I did that and what I've learned, and I recommend it to everybody who's seeking information or inspiration about weight loss. And as a bonus, I've just released a new cooking video. In this video, you can join me in my kitchen as I show you the recipe for vegetable mash. This is what's replaced carbohydrates as my sides for dinner. It's simple, there's only 4 ingredients, it's absolutely delicious. I show you how to make it and I explain why it's going to help you lose weight. There you go, that's me advertising to you as men. Here's the product I'm offering, here's why it's useful. If you want it, you can access it by signing up to Patreon. Pretty straightforward. But what if I wanted to sell it to women? Well, I would make it a lot more emotional and vague. Do you ever feel tired and exhausted from life, weighed down by problems? Well, what if I told you that all of the answers were right here waiting for you? Weight loss doesn't need to be a chore because you deserve a life that's simple, effortless, and allows your inner beauty to shine. Vegetable mash. Embrace the real woman that's inside you. Okay, so advertising is probably not my strong point. I'm no Don Draper, but you get my point. Advertising plays on emotions, and that's why it's more effective on women than it is on men. Companies know this. They know that women will make purchases based on their emotions. That's why they create impulse products. There was a TikTok trend that was popular for a while called girl math. It was sort of half satire, half confession. It was explaining the ways that women would try and justify emotional purchases by backwards rationalizing them to try and make them seem logical. It was a really funny trend. You had all these women explaining to their boyfriends, their fathers, all these purchases that they had made and explaining why they made sense using girl math. I'm going to play one of the clips so you can see what I'm talking about.
So today I'm going to be explaining girl math to my dad. You're gonna think I'm so stupid. Oh God. Okay, let's start with number 1. You know how I get Starbucks sometimes and it has an app you can preload money onto it? Mm-hmm. So if I have money already on my Starbucks app, when I go to get it, it's basically free and I didn't spend any money.
Really? Really? It's free? How'd you come up with that one?
If I pay with cash, it's basically free.
Dude, حمارة. Honestly, بلا عقل. Go ahead.
If something's less than $5, it's free.
Sure.
If I buy something, like let's say I bought a pair of shoes, but I didn't like how they fit and I returned it, I made money by returning it.
Dude, habla.
I should have brought Mom in here. She'd agree with me.
Dude, she probably would. This is what you guys do to me, and then you try to justify it somehow. I don't know. Okay, go ahead.
So let's say I'm going to like a dinner with like 5 of my friends, and I put my card down to pay, and everyone Venmos me later on, like their share of it.
You what?
I made profit off of that.
You can see how much this like hearing this, it just hurt his male brain. Now, in the modern age, there's a lot of stigma around men controlling the finances in a relationship. Like that's old-fashioned, that's sexist, that's financial abuse. It's so ridiculous to paint it that way because it's so obvious when it comes to handling finances. Planning for the future, planning for retirement, that is a role that is much better suited for men. And yes, that's a generalization. Not all men. Some women love budgeting. They love talking with their accountant and learning about the stock market, researching ways to reduce tax. Some women like that, but not many, whereas a lot of guys love that stuff. They feel like the financial world is like this video game with like rules and systems, and they're excited to get in there and sort of figure it all out. There are a few exceptions, but basically every woman that I know, she doesn't want to think that much about money. She finds it stressful. Rather than feeling controlled or abused by their husband, they are grateful to him. I'm so glad you're in my life to handle all of that stuff. And so what does happen if in a relationship a woman is in charge of the finances? There was a fascinating study done in Canada back in 2006 called Control Over Money and the Savings Decisions of Canadian Households. And I'm going to spend the rest of this video explaining the results of this study and what was revealed about women's values, their priorities, and their spending habits, specifically as it relates to spending inside a marriage. As a man, you need to be aware of this. So if you want to keep watching this video, please come and join me on Patreon. What I posted here on YouTube, this is just a shortened version of my video. The full-length version of this video is available on Patreon.